ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين صدق الله العظيم.
My fellow member Provincial Assembly, I welcome you also. My colleague at the National Assembly, Mrs. Munazza Hassan, who's my co-panelist, and also the Rishik Saab. And I also welcome our international guests from Malaysia to be part of this panel. The panel, of course, is climate change, climate vulnerabilities, and also the urbanization, urban city management planning, and also climate resilient cities. The topic, of course, is something that we can speak hours and hours upon because it is multi-sectoral, it is cross-cutting, and also it has many dimensions when it comes to climate vulnerabilities. I will focus mostly on Punjab province in Pakistan. The Prime Minister of Pakistan also at the national level has worked, and also the Climate Ministry in formulating and compiling a very robust national action plan for climate resilience. Also carbon trading, carbon financing is something that is being worked upon at the national level, the legal framework. Punjab, of course, as we all know, and you've been hearing for last few days, is, of course, no exception when it comes to climate resilience and climate vulnerabilities. Most urbanized, fastest urbanized province, and also the cities in Punjab, 130 million population, and the divide, of course, is 37% urban and 63% semi-rural, semi-urban and rural population in Punjab. And when it comes to water shortages, when it comes to intense climate vulnerabilities, biodiversity, climate resilience, as I said, Punjab is no exception. So I'll briefly narrate what we've been doing after assuming office in last 10 months under the dynamic leadership of the Chief Minister, Maryam Nawaz, who's leading the climate resilience vision in Punjab and across Punjab. Climate change, as we all know, is not a very, cannot be seen in silo or in isolation with bordering provinces, with bordering cities, with the bordering region, with the bordering countries, neighbors. It is integrated, it is comprehensive, it is, something that we all need to work together if we want to change the course, and also has an impact on humanity, I would say, touching each and everyone's life across the ecosystem. So after assuming office, first of all, the development planning of Punjab province has seen transition and a paradigm shift when it comes to climate resilience policies and urban planning. And to begin with, the Chief Minister Punjab has for the first time introduced solid waste management in urban and rural cities across Punjab. It was previously present in only 2 cities in Punjab, but now, alhamdulillah, in our last 11 months, every city, every district, every division has now a complete end-to-end solid waste management framework for, looking at the urban solid waste management planning. So that's something, it's a flagship project of the Chief Minister, and we all know that Sustainable Development Goals has a lot of integration with solid waste management and associated health impacts, air quality impacts also. Then in the climate lens, I would say that for the first time, the development planning has been seen from very integrated approach, cross-sectoral approach, multi-sectoral approach that we say. It's said, it's easier said than done, because we all know that we all say across the globe that it should be integrated, it should be inclusive, it should be trickle down to the local level, to the union council level, to the local government level. But when it comes to real implementation, it is always a challenge, because the sectors talking to each other is a challenge. The sectors communicating to each other is a challenge. And when it comes to policy making for a multi-sectoral subject like climate change, first of all, it is a challenge, but then taking this challenge head on in last 10 months, at the Planning and Development Ministry department, we now have a project management unit where all the sectors sit together, they plan together, they allocate resources together, so that we know that, if you're investing into green technologies, if you're investing into climate resilient cities, urban planning, we all have to do this evidence-based decision making together. So that's a complete paradigm shift in our development planning this year, and we've seen results already. When it comes to the adaptation and mitigation of the climate resilient policies, of course, it's also head-on urban planning, rural planning, infrastructure planning, green technology planning. Mass transit also is going through a complete transition from traditional petrol vehicles to electric vehicles, and we've seen already the electric buses have started arriving in Punjab, in Lahore for the first time. So sectoral-wise in industries, a complete mapping of the industry was done initially. So we divided this 1 year when we assumed office into 3 phases: short-term, medium-term, and long-term. Short-term was mostly legislative changes, amendments, hand-holding, stakeholder engagement, citizens engagement, awareness raising when it comes to climate change. And also we are going through Punjab and Pakistan, and the cities in the region are going through air quality crisis at the moment. And Lahore, of course, as we see, is the center stage. But this year, in last 5 months, we've seen peaks in other cities of the provinces also. And in the region as well, we've seen peaks, unprecedented peaks this year. So the first 3 months was to create an enabling environment to work together, all the sectors together, for coming together to do this climate resilience planning. So lots of legislative and institutional changes and amendments were done. Environmental Protection Agency, my Director General of EPA is sitting with you in the audience, who's worked really hard in complete overhauling institutional framework amendments. We've changed the Punjab Environmental Act after 1997 to include lots of legislative reforms when it comes to air quality standards and regulations, surveillance, and of course then the impact of the air quality. So this was Environmental Protection Agency. For the first time in EPA, we have a multi-sectoral desks now: industry, agriculture, transport, health, education, and this is now housed in Environmental Protection Agency. So we see it from a completely multi-sectoral lens when it comes to planning and development and also environmental protection. Industry, we've mapped a complete industrial landscape of Punjab, and there is a plan to shift the industry. I wish we had graphics on the screen, which we prepared for all of you, because if we can, Father, if we can also start, just the graphics on the screen. So in industry, for the first time, the brick kilns, I can say with conviction that in Lahore division, not a single brick kiln is working other than the zigzag technology. And we've also QR coded the brick kilns, and it is centrally linked to a monitoring system that we have in Environmental Protection Agency. For the first time, intense technology intervention has been taking place in terms of surveillance through drone cameras and safe city cameras, drone for industrial smoke and safe city for vehicular emission. We've introduced that. So in industry, then again, biogas, we have a complete pilot project in Lahore which has been completed, and now the plan is to have one biogas plant in every divisional headquarter across Punjab. Then also environmental control systems on the industrial units are being installed. The government has given 2 billion interest-free loan to the small industries to have these environmental control systems installed at their industrial unit. Lots of pyrolysis plants have been demolished, changed, and compliance has been done to, and we have data and numbers because we were compiling data for the first time in Punjab when it comes to surveillance and monitoring also. There were only 3 monitors, air quality monitors in Punjab. They were installed in 2007. And other than that, we did not have any air quality monitors, so data was just completely absent from the decision making. So we, for the first time, again, under the leadership of the Chief Minister, till December 31st, we have 30 monitors, air quality, both mobile and permanent ones installed, and the target is to have 60 monitors till March 31st. So now, Punjab government, for the first time, did a very daring thing that we shared data with the media. We shared data with the stakeholder, with the industry, the sectors, and then did our planning for smog season. The second phase was taking everyone along, both the industry, the sectors, and the departments at the government level. Punjab is going to an intense regulation in zero plastic single use, and the plastic is banned in Punjab, and that's also happened for the first time. Thirdly, in agriculture, the Chief Minister vision, of course, of e-mechanization of the agriculture sector, we are witnessing in terms of technology intervention, but for super seeders, for the first time, to curtail and to stop stubble burning across Punjab during 2 seasons, wheat and rice. The Chief Minister gave a very intense subsidy to the local farmers, where we gave 60% the government paid for the super seeder and 40% was paid by the farmer. And we've seen evidence-based that the districts where there was intense stubble burning because of the use of super seeder mechanization, we've seen a reduction in stubble burning across Punjab also, and we do have satellite vision, the graphics to support our claim. Thirdly, in transport, massive transition, complete paradigm shift of the Chief Minister. We are converting Lahore division to completely on electric vehicle hybrid, replacing 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers through our Punjab Clean Air program, funded by World Bank. That was the first project again. So complete transition of e-mass transit system across Punjab also. The 27, as I already said, 28 buses have started arriving. They're already in Lahore, and we're converting, inshallah, we'll be doing this in the next 3 to 4 years, complete conversion of Lahore division to electric vehicles. Then industry, of course, we see fugitive dust, because we have seen peaks during the days when the weather conditions were stable, when the weather conditions were suitable, but there were peaks in Lahore and in specific areas. So the evidence showed that, the fugitive dust was the main reason. So when we were in China, in Beijing, with the Chief Minister, and Beijing, of course, as we all know, is a case study around the world, where they've converted 114 bad days, air quality days, to 4 air quality days in 1 year. So that's something that we all need to learn, and we are just, we are the ones who are, learning the practices. The fugitive dust, we saw that around the construction sites, there were water sprinklers of the recycled water. So that's what we did after coming back to Pakistan. And now, alhamdulillah, by the notification of the environmental protection agencies, all the private housing societies, private construction sites, also the government construction sites have started having these water sprinklers around the construction sites. Secondly, the Plant for Pakistan green campaign for forestation, and then a complete green ring around Lahore in terms of plantation is being developed in master planning of Lahore. Lahore has a forest cover of about 3% when the international standard is 40%. So we do have a gap of about 37%. So looking at this data and evidence, the green master planning of Lahore is underway, and the plan is ready to be implemented. Then energy sector, a complete drive on conversion of solar Energy, the Chief Minister program on giving free solar panels to consumers below the 200 consumption of megawatts, and then finance program 200 and above consumption of megawatts. We're embarking into a journey of biogas plants, as I said, and biorefinery for recycling stubble that we burn into meaningful use. Then lastly, I would say that we are heavily investing into green technology and green infrastructure. All the roads, more than 900 main roads and arteries are being constructed in Lahore at the moment, and every road has now a shoulder bed of trees wherever a new road is built by policy. Every project planning in a development program now has 1% for climate resilience and climate vulnerability of that program by policy. You know, it's part of the policy now. Then, of course, as I said, Punjab is not exception from vulnerable ecosystem, climate-induced disaster. We've seen floods in recent past, and we have now in place, with the help of PDMAs, disaster management authorities, provincial disaster management authorities, complete plan in urban cities to mitigate flood effects, and also adaptation and investing into the technologies and also the infrastructure for flood mitigation. Green industry, I've spoken about, zero waste vision of the Chief Minister of Punjab, I have spoken about in detail. And then everything is related to, because health impact of smog and also of bad air quality, we've seen for the first time in last 5 months, the data from hospitals show that there has been decrease in 11% during 4 months, the patients during the smog season, which is about 98,000 less patients in hospitals during last smog season. And the wind direction, the weather patterns in the region, as I said, it is transboundary, it transcends borders, bad air quality. So it's not just urban cities planning, it also is rural city planning, regional, and it also, of course, is between countries. The impact of India's interventions, we've seen that, during the wind directions towards Pakistan, towards this corridor, we also had peaks of more than 2,000 AQIs level in last 5 months. So we've written letter to the Foreign Office for starting dialogue with India when it comes to climate diplomacy. And, that is something that we are looking forward to, because this is a threat to humanity. This is a threat to our future generation. And climate change is not just a buzzword, which it was in 90s. It is a reality now, and we all need to understand, we all need to be sensitive about it. So lastly, what we did was we engaged the citizens. We engaged the stakeholders. The larger part of our policy was awareness raising amongst the citizens about climate resilience, vulnerabilities, and also this impact of smog and bad air quality on health. Health Ministry also department did a spectacular job when it comes to mobile health units, clinic on wheels, the initiative of the Chief Minister again, where the clinics were visiting into districts, into divisions, into union councils during the season. There was emergency declared in hospitals, and also preemptive measures in the last phase when it was smog management and bad air quality management was taking place. So awareness raising, and then we've seen in other countries that this is, of course, policy, administration, regulation, surveillance, monitoring. We all do have that, but unless the behavior changes, unless the mindset changes towards climate vulnerabilities and bad air qualities, no policy can make a difference. So we are integrating that into curriculum, the formal education, the informal education, and skill development into green technologies, into green curriculum, into green infrastructure, and the scholarship program of the Chief Minister, where she's giving scholarships to the first year, second year, third year, and fourth year students across Punjab. Climate change related degrees are part of that scholarship program. so that we do have experts, we do have indigenous expertise, we do have local expertise when it comes to mitigating, adaptation and management. And also intense awareness raising program has been started with local communities, because replacing two-wheelers is not an easy task in Punjab, especially in Lahore division, and replacing the traditional vehicles, because of course economics comes into play also. And countries like Pakistan, where we struggle, it's a developing country, but if we do have long-term impacts in mind, cost benefit in mind, opportunity cost in mind of these initiatives, I think then we would realize that this is important today, not tomorrow. And thank you very much. I can see lots of multi-sectoral people sitting here in the audience as well. So we all together, the inclusivity is the cornerstone of Chief Minister's programs, initiatives, policies, projects that she undertakes. And equity, of course, is another focus area. So without inclusivity and without equity, climate change vulnerabilities and impacts are also incomplete. So with all the stakeholders, with all the experts, research, academia, media, we have embarked on this journey, and I have a firm belief that with all these interventions, policy frameworks, legislative frameworks and reforms, we will inshallah be the second case study after Beijing in the world. Thank you so much.
मौसमियाती तब्दीली के मौजू पर सीनियर सूबाई वजीर मरियम औरंगजेब
said that Pakistan has a three-tier system of governance. And I've done a lot of research on local government, as you know. The first time that you read this phrase or the idea of a three-tier government, it comes out in the 2008 manifesto of Pakistan People's Party that was authored by Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto. And this is right after the Charter of Democracy. So these two things, Charter of Democracy promises a radical shift that we will give power, resources to the grassroots. And then Shaheed Mohtarma writes this promise in the manifesto. But we see that in the 18th Amendment, while we took some radical steps for provincial autonomy, we did not do enough for local governments. And local governments remain an unfinished agenda of the Charter of Democracy. A, I would like you to talk about your party's position, and B, do you think that political parties of Pakistan can collaborate on something as big as 18th Amendment to reform and strengthen the third tier of government?
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed Saab. Before coming to your question, I would like to share my thoughts, brief thoughts, which I have written. Distinguished fellow parliamentarians, esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to welcome you all to this historic city of Lahore for this vital session of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association on the local government, strengthening of the local government. As parliamentarian from Pakistan, I am privileged to address this august gathering on the topic that lies at the heart of democratic evolution. The constitutional framework of Pakistan, through the historic 18th Amendment, has laid a robust foundation for democratic devolution. As the Minister for Local Government said, rightly said, that Article 140A stands as a testament of our commitment to empowered local governance, mandating provincial governments to devolve power to the local level. The constitutional provision, complemented by the National Finance Commission, awards allocation of 57.5% of the federal resources to the provinces, with an additional 10% for the local government, demonstrate our nation's commitment to decentralization. Distinguished colleagues, when we speak of decentralization, devolution, and autonomy to the grassroots level, I deem it pertinent to recall and pay tribute to Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, who envisioned a three-tier government structure that empowered local governments. Our shared experience has shown that local government serves as the vital bridge between citizen and the state. Local bodies are not merely administrative units, but transformative institutions capable of fostering social cohesion, promoting interfaith harmony, and ensuring responsive service delivery. Through strengthening local governments, we can better address the unique challenges faced by our diverse communities, from urban development to rural empowerment. The current local government across Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has laid a foundation. But we must acknowledge that there is a need for further improvement. Our legislative agenda must focus on enhancing the fiscal capacity, administrative efficiency of the local government. Honorable members, local governments hold immense potential. They can serve as catalysts of environmental sustainability, champions of social development, and good governance. In an era of increasing environmental challenges and social complexities, empowered local bodies can lead community-based initiatives in disaster management, climate adaptation, and sustainable development. Success stories. We've got some great success stories in Pakistan of local government when we talk about the local government. We have a politician in Pakistan which has risen from local government. He was a member of the local government and he rose to the seat of the Prime Minister. When he became the Prime Minister, he devolved the concurrent list, he gave autonomy to the provinces, and he is still the longest serving Prime Minister of Pakistan. We've got a great example in shape of Mr. Ahmed Iqbal, who is our moderator today. He's a product of local government, and he's made his way to the provincial parliament. And I think nobody better understands the local government issues better than Mr. Ahmed Iqbal Sahab here. As representatives of the people, we bear the responsibility to strengthen this fundamental tier of democracy. The benefits of empowered local government extend far beyond administrative efficiency. They ensure the development truly reflects local needs and aspirations. Distinguished colleagues, let us commit ourselves to creating a robust framework that empowers local governments as effective vehicles of citizen participation and accountable governance. The future of our democracy rests upon our local institution, and it's through them that we can build a more inclusive, responsive, and prosperous Pakistan. I am glad to hear from the Minister for Local Government that the government is planning to give the Provincial Award Commission, which is the only way forward, I believe. And coming back to your question, Mr. Ahmed, I believe that the only way forward is after the 18th Amendment, that we should write this in our constitution, that every government in every province has to have an election of local government after 4 or 5 years. That's the only way forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gilani. And I think this point that you touched upon is very important. Yesterday we saw in the documentary when Madam Zakia Shahnawaz was talking about the story or the history of democracy in this country, and she said a very important thing. She said, you can't plant a seed and take it out every 5 years. And that is what's been happening with the local governments in Pakistan. The lack of continuity means that every time we start afresh, you don't have any institutional memory and you're starting from zero. So this idea of having a constitutional amendment that mandates regular election is a very important intervention. I would like to also acknowledge that there are probably over 100 members in the Provincial Assembly of Punjab who have made their way to this august house through local governments. I see many faces sitting in the audience. My colleague Adnan Chattha is here, my colleague Mr. Nimani is here, and there is a whole class of us local government heads that graduated last year to the Provincial Assembly. One of our colleagues is also sharing the stage with us today, Mr. Zulfikar Ali Shah. Mr. Zulfikar Ali Shah was the Tehsil Nazim of Chinyot in one of the most empowered local government systems which came about in the early 2000s. Mr. Zulfikar Ali Shah was elected as a member of the Punjab Assembly from PP 96 Chinyot, and in 2024 became the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Agriculture. He is a very active legislator, contributing to legislative reforms. And my question to Mr. Ali Shah is perhaps I would like you to dissect the problem, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. I mean, I've never seen a person Okay, we got the power back. I was saying I've never seen a more dedicated, passionate, and even emotional proponent of local governments than Ahmed. I mean, there's so much passion in him, and he makes me afraid. For I was once a great proponent and practitioner of local governments, and now I'm afraid. He said that, we've been experimenting with local governments over time. Sometimes we have a strong system. Sometimes, we just make sure that, we fulfill the minimum requirements of our constitution, which says that we are supposed to have a local government system. So we're not really serious about it. In the past, the good local government systems, they were usually there to promote military agenda. And the problem is, in my thinking, I've transcended beyond the need of a local government to the question of why we don't have a local government system. If you ask anybody with some sense of or some experience of good governance, or you look up any good governance model all over the world, there is going to be a local government system, because there is no way you can serve your populations, and especially in Pakistan, where you have a population of 250 million. There is absolutely no way that you can serve your people properly sitting in Lahore, in Peshawar, or in Islamabad. You need to have a system which addresses the problems at a grassroots level. There is absolutely no two ways about it. Anybody even with little intelligence would tell you that you would need a system. You cannot make the decision sitting in Lahore. It's absolutely mind-boggling that it's become an itch we cannot scratch. We know that we need it, but we don't want it. We should be looking at our needs, but our wants have taken over, and we are not willing to decentralize, share our powers. We are afraid of it. It's become synonymous with dictatorships. It's become synonymous with alternate leaderships. And in a country where the resources are limited, and the politics takes up, our politics has become developmental politics. It's a politics of resources and where you put those resources to get your votes. So it's become a dilemma for us, and there is absolutely, we are equipped right now. If you tell me, I'm a layman, if you tell me you want a legislative, we're talking about legislative pathways, I can whip you up a system, a local government system, within 24 hours. We have so much information available. The main problem with us is that we are scared to implement it. We are reluctant to implement it. Our elite politicians don't feel comfortable with. They will talk to you and they will tell you that we need it, but they will never come up front and share their powers. So it's more of a psychological, ego-based, metaphysical issue rather than something which you would say has to do with some technicalities or know-how or capacities. We've got everything. We just don't have the will to implement it. That's my take on it. Ahmed said, you become the maverick. I said, I'll become the goose, in reference to the Top Gun movies. But I am very passionate about the local government systems, and I believe that without a very robust, a very capable, and a local government system with the resources, you cannot deliver to the people. And I hope that at some level we will find a consensus. I think that we should start at the very base and commit to something, and across the board, have a across the board commitment from the government and from the other parties, from the opposition. Let's start small, let's start at the very basic, empower them, and let's see, and let it grow. Have a commitment from all the stakeholders that we are going to allow this system to grow and take root. And that's the way forward. We are absolutely not lacking in anything right now. We can come up with a local government system tomorrow. I believe that, and I'm not overstating this. I believe that we can come up with a local system tomorrow, but we need to get the will going, and we need to have the commitment, and we need something which is sustainable, which is acceptable, and we are willing to let go of our powers, let go of our grip. And it is not only the politicians, it is also our bureaucracy. Nobody is willing to let go. We feel very vulnerable. We feel that we're going to lose our status. But at some time, we have to take a leap of faith and go with the system. So I'm going to keep it short, and that's what I'm going to say.
Thank you so much for your candid remarks. And I know all of you are tired, exhausted from a very hectic day yesterday. But we are 3 speakers into the panel. I would like you all to give a huge round of applause to all 3 of them. Two things that Mr. Zulfikar Shah highlighted. I think one, in many ways today's topic answers the plenary discussion yesterday. We talked a lot about collaborative legislation for inclusive and participatory governance. And I think while you work with committees, you work with caucuses, you bring about new legislation, all of these tools are tools of incremental change. But the one big bang that you can achieve through legislation is to really empower people at the grassroots. Give them the idea that they can be the authors of their destiny. And the other point, I'm really glad to see that when I met you for the first time and we talked about local governments, you did not want to talk about it, you were disillusioned, but I'm glad that your passion has been restored. Onwards to the next speaker, I'm going to deviate from the script that I've been given. We would have you at the last, Mayor Murtaza Wahab, because you are also the expert of today's session. Because you're the only one who has hands-on experience of running a mega city. And I would we'll travel to Sri Lanka now. And I think one of the great opportunities we have today with this conference is to learn from our peers from other countries. How have systems evolved in peer countries? We're joined by Honorable Tushari Jayasinghe. She is a member of the Sri Lankan Parliament and also a member of the Women Parliamentarians Caucus. She advocates legislative reform and social development initiatives. So my question to you, Honorable Member, is two-pronged. One, obviously, to an overwhelming Pakistani audience, can you give us an idea of how the system is structured there? What are the successes and struggles of that system? And a very important theme of local government is inclusion, because it creates space for marginalized communities. It gives voice to women, to minorities, and takes things really down to the grassroots. Uh, if you have thoughts on that as well. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Dear distinguished guests, distinguished panelists, and delegates. Today I'm privileged to share my experiences strengthening local governance, legislative pathways for effective decentralization. Local government is the third and lowest level of government in Sri Lanka after the central government and provincial councils. The local government bodies are collectively known as local authorities. Sri Lanka is a unitary state, but the 13th Amendment to the Constitution 1987 has introduced the provincial councils to it. Section 154A of the Sri Lankan Constitution is about the establishment of provincial councils. Section 154G of the Sri Lankan Constitution is about statutes of provincial councils, and it says every provincial council may, it says may, subject to the provisions of the Constitution, make statutes applicable to the province for which it is established, with respect to any matter set out in List 1 of the 9th schedule, hereinafter referred to as the Provincial Council List. The Constitution says that and define the Provincial Council List. Number 4 of the Provincial Council List is referred to local government. Dear colleagues, local government is defined by the United Nations Divisions of Public Administration as a political subdivision of a nation or in a federal system a state, which is constituted by law and has substantial control of local affairs, including the powers to impose taxes or to extract labor for prescribed purposes. The governing body of such an entity is elected or otherwise locally selected. Therefore, it is clear that the power vested with the central government is devolved to the provincial councils by the said 13th Amendment according to the Provincial Council List. Under number 4, it is described the powers of local authorities. Number 4.1 of the Provincial Council List says local authorities for the purposes of local government and village administration, such as municipal councils, urban councils, and Pradeshia Sabhas. Pradeshia Sabhas means the rural local authorities in Sri Lanka. Except that the constitution from structure of local authorities shall be determined by law. 4.2 of the Provincial Councils List says supervision of the administration of local authorities established by law, including the power of this solution, subject to such quasi-judicial inquiries into the grounds for this solution and legal remedies in respect thereof, as may be provided by law, and subject to provisions relating to audit as may be provided by law. 4.3 of the Provincial Council List says local authorities will have the powers vested in them under existing law. Municipal councils and urban councils will have the powers vested in them under the Municipal Council Ordinance. And the Urban Council Ordinance, Pradeshia Sabha, that means the rural local authorities in Sri Lanka, will have the powers vested in them under existing law. It will be open to provincial councils to confer additional powers on local authorities, but not to take away their powers. Therefore, it allows the provincial councils to confer additional powers to local authorities and does not allow to take away the powers of local authorities. Dear delegates, there are three spheres of government in Sri Lanka: national, provincial and local, as provided for the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Provincial government is provided for the Provincial Councils Act 1987 and local government by the Urban Councils Ordinance 1939, the Municipal Councils Ordinance 1947, and the Pradeshiya Sabha, that means the Local Rural Authorities Act 1988, as well as the Constitution. The Ministry of Local Government and Provincial Councils is responsible for devolved government nationally and the provincial ministers of local government for local government. And the principal organs of devolved government are the 9 provincial councils. In the next year are 330 local authorities comprising 18 municipal councils, 42 urban councils and 270 Pradeshiya Sabha, the rural local authorities. And provincial councils' principal responsibilities include provincial economic plans, law and order, education, housing, and agricultural support services. Local authorities are responsible for health, utilities, and roads, and the Pradeshiya Sabhas, means rural local authorities, are also concerned with economic development. The local authorities collect taxes, rents, rates, and fees as well, receiving transfers from national and provincial. Dear delegates, prior to the 13th Amendment, the power of Sri Lankan local government was vested with the Department of Local Government and was governed by the Commissioner of Local Government. It is said that it was independent, and now with the provincial councils is limited the powers of local authorities. That is argued from the beginning of this provincial council system, and yet the topic is hot and highly argued. Before conclusion, there's a debate that the provincial council system is a white elephant and to abolish it as such. But as a multinational country with an ethnic diversity, Sri Lanka is not in a situation to do so, and in the view of seeking adjustment to minimize the weaknesses of the provincial council system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member Jayasinghe. Now, one of the themes that has come about in terms of a way forward, a legislative pathway that Gilani Saab has alluded to and Shah Saab has alluded to, and seeing the stability in Sri Lanka. Pakistan maybe is in need of a constitutional reform. I developed this scorecard of local government performance of provinces post 18th Amendment. And the scorecard is very simple. How many years has a province had local government since the passing of 18th Amendment? None of the provinces have a score above 50%. Sindh leads the pack with 47%. Then there is KPK with 33%, Balochistan with 20%, and Punjab and Islamabad are unfortunately lagging behind at 13%. While Punjab is the lowest in terms of having local government, ironically, it is the most prolific province in terms of bringing about local government systems. We have had about 7 pieces of legislation, but only 2 years of local government in the province. And maybe the only way to fix it is that all political parties get together, like they did for provincial autonomy, like they did for judicial reforms recently. And I think MQM has a very ambitious agenda. You've also filed a constitutional amendment in the National Assembly, in the Senate. Over to you, Khwaja Azhar Sahab.
Thank you very much, and welcome all the delegates, my colleagues, MNAs, and the panelists, particularly Mayor Karachi is here, and my speakers in the assembly also here. Luckily, I am the since 2001, I am the only MPA who were continue in the deliberation and the negotiations at the local government enactment with the Pakistan People's Party on behalf of my party. When it expires in 2010, we have shared 6 local government bills to each other. Unfortunately, none of one that we have agreed. But as a leader of opposition, it was my responsibility to take all the political parties on board, and I have taken board on PTI, ANP, PMLF, and jointly we submitted one local government bill in 2012 in the assembly. Luckily, there is a good thing is in all the provinces definitely, but at Sindh, as far as Sindh concerned, we are keeping negotiation to strengthen the local government, and we are keeping in touch with the ruling party, or we are in the coalition as well in that time. So we are continue in the negotiation. So it is my suggestion to all the provincial government to make this special committee to at least don't stop this negotiation. At least all of the political parties, including the opposition and the government, they have to keep engaged themselves in enactment or the improvement of these local government laws. Today's topic is decentralization, but the Minister of Local Government of Punjab, he mentioned the Constitutional 140A. So we have a word, we don't have the word of the decentralization, we have a word of devolution, devolve. It is and the framers of the 18th Amendment, definitely including all the political parties, they have enacted a very good 18th Amendment 140A for the devolution, and it reflects their future roadmap to how to strengthen the local government in future. And that says, every province shall by law establish a local government system and devolve political, administrative, and financial responsibility and authority for local elected representative. There are wonderful words they have used in the 18th Amendment through this 140A. Every province shall. That means shall is an imperative command of the English, and we have to do it. We don't have any other choice. So we are definitely will do. Second thing is local government system. Is not a local authority, like my colleague from Sri Lanka, she says. It's not authority, it's not a body, it's a government. And another thing is the devolve. Legally, devolve is irreversible. Decentralization is not the reversible. Devolve is irreversible. Once you shared and transfer your resources to the regional level, it will not become back. So it's legally devolved, the word used in the 18th Amendment through 148. Administrative and Financial Responsibility Authority. One more thing, we have Article 7, as our moderator Mr. Ahmed is explaining. We have a definition of a state which is not completed by the local government. A state means the federal government, the national parliament, provincial government, provincial assembly, and local government. So that is the definition of the state, and we have a very good constitutional concept in Article 7. And also in Article 32, our constitution also encourages to encourage the local government system continue. So this is the framework of the 1973, the legislatures of the time, and the framework of the 18th Amendment. So this is my request. I don't say it's a cakewalk, but definitely it's not an infuriating puzzle. We can resolve it if we are going to have a dialogue between the opposition and the government in all the four provinces. And definitely, once it is the, as you said, is the backbone, I would say, is the nursery of the democracy, from where the leadership come up at the national level. So we are going so many things. We have to curtail the role of the bureaucracy as well. We have to enhance the budget through the Provincial Finance Commission. As we are the advocate of National Finance Commission, so we have to establish Provincial Finance Commission in all the four provinces to strengthen the local government. Yes, that's one important thing, the accountability. Yes, here we lack, and definitely this is the point of view of the People's Party when we are negotiating. There should be accountability. So nobody stop us. Nobody stop us to make the forum accountable more strict and more transparent for these legislatures, for the local government use, because the utilization of the resources of the local government is not like that as the provincial government they usually occur. So it's a very good forum, and I believe that if all the international and national delegates here, they advocate the local women, they can exchange their model with us. As the Sri Lanka, she highlighted the 13th Amendment. The government is constitutionally empower the local government. The same thing we need, and the MKM has submitted the constitutional amendment in the National Assembly through the 27th Amendment, and we hope with the consult of the People's Party, PMLN, and all the parties, we will enact more strengthened and powerful local government. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Khwaja Azhar Sahab. And I think you raised a very important point that there should be constant debate. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion in seminars, conferences, occasions like this. But the real forum where this evolution should be happening on a very regular basis are our assemblies. And I think we have the great honor of having Speaker of Sindh Assembly over here, and many speakers, honorable delegates sitting who preside over state legislatures. Maybe this is a conversation that should happen regularly in parallel in these assemblies so that we continuously improve our systems. It is also ironic that the constitution actually is very clear.
Yes, very clear.
Khalid Ranjha Saab, a very senior advocate and a former law minister, was our lawyer in one of the constitutional petitions when local governments were dissolved. And he interpreted Article 140A as the provinces shall establish, he translated as it to be equal to instruction from God ke namaz qaim karo. And he equated devolution with burying someone in the grave, intakal. Once you've buried someone, that transaction is over. So those 2 points are very clear, but I think we need more on that. Now I will move to our expert for this panel, and I would request Mayor Murtaza Wahab to divorce himself from all the partisan discussion that has happened before him, because I really envy him. I envy his position. He is living his childhood dream of being Mayor Karachi, and I call him the super mayor of Pakistan. We have 2 mega cities in Pakistan, and right now, we are kind of lagging behind in a big way all over the world, mayors are leading the fight or the struggle against climate change. Mayors are at the forefront of introducing sustainable practices, sustainable development in their cities. And now, even from an economic point of view, cities are recognized as the main engines of driver. So no matter how hard federal and provincial governments try, if you do not have all your engines working, you will not get that momentum of economic growth and development, and this is a big, big gap in our economic system. So Mayor Murtaza Wahab, you are one of the few people in the world who is, leading a mega city of that magnitude. Just share with this house how your experience has been, what are the struggles, what are the opportunities for Karachi and Pakistan, and as a mayor, what kind of a local government system would you like to see in an ideal world?
Thank you, Ahmed. I feel very humbled with what you said. I'm slightly torn because of the divestment that you spoke about. It's very difficult for a person coming from a political party to divest himself from the stated position of the political party and then be ये हटा दें, ये चल रहा है ऐसे। ये हटा दें। Am I audible? Yes. So this is how difficult life is for any local government representative. I'd like to start off with what Ahmed stated in the beginning, that the normal trajectory of a political activist is that he starts from the local council, that's the nursery, and then he leads to other legislative bodies and ends up leading different entities. I've had a different trajectory. I started off with the province. I went to the federation, served in the Senate, then came back to the local council. So after being with two very powerful bodies, now I'm representing a body which is at an evolutionary stage. And that is where the predicament begins. And I understand the problems that my predecessors or my colleagues have faced in the past. But what I'll do is I'll try to be as objective as I can. My friend from Sri Lanka said that local council is deemed as a white elephant. I think we all love elephants. And that's the importance of local council. I think the efficacy that the local government system can bring to improving the lives of a common person, I think there is no parallel to that. So we would all agree that the most effective way and mechanism to serve the people is through the empowered local government system. Now, the issue is that as humans, we are not prone to divestment. We never want to devolve, we never want to let go of our authority, of our power. So if you speak to the Prime Minister, he would say, I want to be empowered. If you speak to a federal minister, he will say, I want to be empowered. You speak to the chief minister, he would say, I want to be empowered. The speaker of the Provincial Assembly of Sindh is here, he would say, I'd like to be empowered. The mayor or the district council chairman would say, I'd like to be empowered. So this debate, unfortunately, has led to very polarized positions. The military dictators have taken us to a stage where the local government system was so omnipotent, was so powerful that the provincial assemblies or the provincial government had become irrelevant. When Shah Sahab was serving in the local councils, I remember a lot of members of the provincial assembly and the national assembly had resigned from their seats in the parliament and gone back to the local government system because they felt that through the system of Pervez Musharraf, they felt empowered to serve their constituents. Then the political governments came in and they said, you know, the constitution, while it talks about the federal government, while it talks about the local government, it also talks about the provincial government. So you can't just completely ignore the provincial government. So the alternate came about, which was again in the different direction. Unfortunately, because we've all stuck to extreme positions, we've not been able to evolve a system. And I'm firmly of the view that no system is perfect. System is evolved. And as Commonwealth countries, you know, we are still new. You know, we can't be equated with the mayor of New York, mayor of London, where, you know, the systems have remained in field for the last few centuries. Pakistan is a relatively new country. Sri Lanka is a relatively new country. So we're evolving. Our federation is evolving. Our provinces are evolving. Similarly, the local council system has to evolve. And the evolution will take place when we agree to disagree. We talk about our issues. I share my perspective. You share your perspective. When we agree that, yes, we should empower the municipal government, we should empower the local government, but with authority, there should also be responsibility. Now, my difference of opinion, having served in the provincial government, right, and now as the mayor, the issue is that every local council wants to be empowered. But at the end of the day, they say that we want an influential father who would pay for our expenses, right? So I would always look up to my provincial government that, look, you know, I can't earn. I don't have the money. If I need to carry out this task, I will reach out to the local government department and I will say, give me the money. Unfortunately, in this debate, our local councils have not really focused on self-generation of revenues. Because we've only said, let's take this power from the federation, let's take this power from the province. Whatever powers we had or we have, we've not focused on utilizing those powers in the best possible manner. And whatever powers we had, it has also led to some erroneous decision-making process. So what I would propose is, while Pakistan is evolving, you know, the balance of power between the executive and the legislature is evolving. The balance of power between the judiciary and the executive is evolving. Similarly, the level of power between the three tiers of government needs to be evolved. We should create a system where, yes, the federation has its own expertise, its own legislative fields. The province should have its own legislative fields, and the local council or the city government must also have its own fields. Everyone spoke about the words of the Constitution. Article 7 is clear, Article 32 is clear, Article 140 is clear. If the words were so clear, we would not be having this debate. The problem is we are still not clear. And clarity will come with the passage of time, and that passage of time would only happen once we give this commitment. No matter how good or bad the system is, the system must continue. The problem is, I agree with what Ahmed was saying about the lady speaker yesterday, that we cut off the plant that we planted 5 years ago after every 5 years. So we will never be able to reap the benefit of whatever was done 5 years ago. So the system must continue. There should be continuity. Like in the Constitution, it says that every 5 years, right, or after dissolution of the assembly, the election would take place in 60 days or 90 days. Similarly, the speaker is here, important people from Punjab government are here. I think we should introduce this in our respective laws, that within 90 days of the finishing of the tenure of the local council, elections must take place. And I think that continuity will create a lot more certainty in the system, and a lot more certainty would create better possibility to serve our people. I'll give you a small example with regards to my city. Without going into the debate of what I want from the federal government or what I want from the provincial government, I have my perspective. But what I do have with regards to Karachi Metropolitan Corporation, when I took over, the revenue, annual revenue of the city that I was representing, the municipal revenue, was 700 million. And this was a year annual revenue. In this 7 months, from the 1st of July till 31st January, we've clocked at 2.3 billion. So we've tripled our revenue. And for this tripling of revenue, we didn't have to go to the provincial assembly and say, give us that power. We didn't have to go to the chief minister and say, give us this power. Whatever resources or whatever assets or whatever fields of legislation we had, we explored those opportunities, we thought out of the box, tried to assert ourselves, and we managed to increase our revenue 3 times. Same goes for water and sewerage. When we took over, our revenue was 1.1 billion rupees. Right now, this last month, 31st January, our revenue has risen or crossed over 2 billion for the first time. So with better management, with better accountability, and less fighting, less acrimony, things can happen, and I feel things will happen. Last but not the least, I take great pride in one thing about my provincial government. We are the only council in the world which has given, because you spoke of inclusivity, we have given representation to transgenders. Now in Karachi Metropolitan Corporation or Sakhar District Council or Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, there is a quota fixed for the transgender community. We have fixed quotas for disabled or differently abled. We fixed quota for the youth and for the minorities, for non-Muslim members, right? So that shows how my political party is actually exploring the opportunity of better inclusivity. Sorry, I forgot women and laborers. So that shows the mindset of my political party, that we are committed to the cause of local councils. We want the local councils to be empowered, but with checks and balances. Last but not the least, I was speaking of divestment. Nobody wants to let go of the power, right? My friend was talking about the 18th Amendment. The 18th Amendment is the best example of divestment, that the President of Pakistan, President Asif Ali Zardari, divested the authority that was vested in his office to the Parliament. Why? Because he thought that the Parliament, which is the collective wisdom of the people of Pakistan, should have that power. Similarly, the Federation of Pakistan, through the 18th Amendment, decided to devolve a certain number of subjects to the provinces. And this came about after years of deliberation. So we need to, let's not be fixated, let's not be rigid, let's be full of engagement, let's come up with enterprising ideas, because to legislate is the easiest thing. Shah Sahib was saying that the law can be drafted in 24 hours, passed in 24 hours, but its efficacy lies in the enforcement, and it lies in the mindset that whether we want to divest or not. So if we have a government which is not willing to divest, no matter how effective law you pass, it will never be able to serve the desired purpose. So my 2 cents would be, let's engage in a bigger and better level. Let's share the experiences of the world, because let me tell you, as mayor of the 6th largest city in the world, when I've interacted with other mayors, everyone complains about the same thing. We don't have the finances. So let's not just focus on the complaints. Let's think about ways and means through which we can engage together, find common grounds where we can evolve a system which will best serve the people of this country. Thank you.
No, thank you very much for your very enlightening points and sharing your journey. And I think all of us who have served in local government can testify to this fact that, you actually see change happening right in front of your eyes. It is so rewarding and so powerful. And obviously, we are going through a process of evolution. I will now, do we have another panelist? Okay. So Speaker of the Gilgit-Baltistan Assembly was supposed to join us, but he couldn't make it. So we will have an intervention from a member of the Gilgit-Baltistan Assembly. But now we have around half an hour. And this is a very important discussion. I would like to open the house now. And before we move on to the question and answer session, a lot of CPA delegates from our friendly countries are sitting here. And I would like to, probe if any guests from abroad have any intervention to make or any points to share or any, if any theme strikes a chord or you would like to add to this discussion. So I'll open the floor first for our CPA delegates who are visiting Pakistan. Anyone? No? CPA delegates, please. Because we'd like to learn from your experience as well.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I am Chitral Fernando, Member of Parliament from Sri Lanka. And I'm delighted to see one of my colleagues, the only female panelist from Sri Lanka in the panel. I would like to share some thoughts very briefly, and that will be enough. First, we heard the word nursery many times, and yes, it is a nursery for politicians. But I have seen in Sri Lanka, as much as it is a nursery, whenever we want to test something, the same nurseries and the members are treated as lab rats as well. Because whenever you want to make a change in the system, whenever you want to make in the system in terms of elections, you test it with them. So this has been a major problem, and it has discouraged many budding politicians who have bigger potential to become MPs, to become members of the provincial councils. It has been discouraging factor for them. That's one issue. And the next is the taxation and the self-generating issue. Because I'm not sure about Pakistan, but Sri Lanka, the taxation rights and the self-generating rights would not be granted for many reasons. And the provincial councils in Sri Lanka are responsible for giving money for the local governments. So it has been a major problem as well, because provincial councils as well have to depend on the central government. So I wanted to raise these two questions and to discuss how we are going to address these issues in a regional level. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. And I think this issue of own source revenue, as we call it, is a very major one. All over the world, the primary source of revenue for local governments is property tax. And property tax regime in Pakistan is fixed in 1958, I think. And that, although we've reformed property tax in Punjab, we've fixed the formula and we've linked it to the capital value of the land. But unless you fix property tax, you will not be able to unleash the overall fiscal potential. And once you do it, so many more avenues of financing open up. For instance, municipal bonds open up because you can leverage your revenue streams. And I hope that you can do all of this in Karachi one day. It is, but the formula.
We're still stuck in 1958, so it will take time, yes. But it's now been devolved actually to the town level. We've devolved it even further down from KMC to the respective towns. Karachi has 25 towns, so we're expecting that hopefully this year those respective towns would be able to enhance their revenue to bring in more money to end up carrying these projects. And the aspect of municipal bonds is something that the Karachi Metropolitan Corporation is right now exploring and working on for raising revenue and carrying out public-private partnership projects.
I will again probe for any CPA delegates from abroad. Sir, please kindly introduce yourself to the House, and we would love to
Thank
hear
you,
from you.
Mr. Chairman. My name is Muhammad Zahir. I'm the State Assembly Speaker for Perak. And as you know, Perak is one of the states one of the 13 states in the Federation of Malaysia. And with me, my colleague is the speaker from the state of Pahang. In Malaysia, I think we share some commonalities in terms of a system. We have a three-tier government, the federal government, the state government, which is similar to the provincial government with their rights and powers, and also the local authorities, the local government. We did have elections for the local governments before 1970, but after the racial riot in 1969, we suspended the local elections for the local government, and with the introduction of the Local Authority Act, the local government are basically the officials are appointed by the state governments. And one of the things that we find, actually we know that the systems, the idea of local governance and decentralization, they are very passionately debated and discussed all over the world, especially among the Commonwealth countries and especially in Malaysia, even in recent days. But one of the things that we find that at the end of the day, no one size fits all. No one system can fix everything. But we believe in one thing, that whatever system of government that you have, even the three-tier government, but we have two elections for the federal government and the state government, at the end of the day, the government that has been elected by the people must be able to serve and perform for a developing country like Malaysia, the development agenda, and that's number one. And to develop the country and for the people, that's for Malaysia. And to introduce or reintroduce the local government in our country, that would only increase the politicking especially amongst the politicians and even amongst the people. We have already had enough politics or politicking at the national level and at the state level. So, in our opinion, it is best that the system remains as it is, and the local authority, more so with the resources that, limited resources that they are being overseen by the state government, and also assisted by grants by the federal government and also by the state government. So that is a better system to serve at this particular juncture, unless the system and the country evolves from being a developing country to become a developed country, and not only about in terms of physical development, but also the mentality and the knowledge of the people, where they will be able to differentiate between real news and fake news, for instance, and they are not engrossed with politics and all that. That's our opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That is a very hard test to pass, because I feel like fake news is now, it knows no boundaries. But thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for sharing your thoughts. And we have Mr. Javed Ali Manwa from the Gilgit-Baltistan Assembly. Would you like to share the experience of Gilgit-Baltistan, because you've recently held local government elections, I assume? And this is the first time GB has local government.
Thank you, Ahmed. Since our speaker has to be here to share his thoughts on strengthening local government, but due to an urgent commitment, he couldn't make way. Since much has been said on strengthening local government and legislative pathways, as far as Gilgit-Baltistan is concerned, Gilgit-Baltistan has its local government law, but we don't have into the election since 2004. It's been 2 terms without a local government system in Gilgit-Baltistan as well. So far as putting light on strengthening local governance with regard to legislative pathway, I would put a point that we need to have a federal framework. As delegates from all our provincial assemblies here, Murza Wahab Sahab is here. We are having a dichotomy or diversity in our local government legislature, and we need to have a federal framework to fix certain things. If I could quote an example, that if we go through local government acts of across Pakistan, 4 provinces and Gilgit-Baltistan, we don't have a single definition for the age of youth councillor. it varies from 28 years in Sindh, 19 years in KP and in Punjab. So we need to, 21 in Sindh. So we need to have a federal framework with certain guidelines for making laws with regard to local government in Pakistan across 4 provinces, Gilgit-Baltistan and AJK. And let me take this opportunity to thank CPA Executive Council, who yesterday approved our status as an observer member. So on behalf of Gilgit-Baltistan Assembly, I want to, I owe a very special debt of gratitude to CPA Executive Council, as well as very special gratitude to Honorable Speaker Punjab Assembly for his unwavering support in making this possible. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. And it is great news that GB Assembly is now an observer. We have 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A. Floor is open. Kindly raise your hand, and when you get the mic, please introduce yourself. Keep your question short and specific, and it would be ideal if you could also identify who your question is addressed to. Honorable Uzma Kardar sir.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Uzma Kardar here. I'm a member of Punjab Assembly. Local government system, I think, is essential if we want to improve the quality of life of people at the grassroots level. But unfortunately, you know, I don't know, our friend from Malaysia was saying that people are appointed or they are elected in the local government? Appointed. So, by the state. So that means it's a nominated system?
Are they political appointees or are they bureaucrats? Political appointees.
So I think your system is very different from what we have here. Yes, of course.
It's a lot like the system we had during the Raj.
Yes.
Where the executive was the deputy commissioner, but the council was elected.
Yes. So I think we've come a long way. For Murtaza Wahab, I think you mentioned about the special seats for transgenders and special people. Actually, Punjab initiated it first, and I was also, you know, with all the stakeholders when this happened. And when you people replicated in Sindh, we were very happy. So, pardon? Yeah. The question is that why is there so much resistance to devolve power to local representatives? Because we see time and again that these elections get scuttled somehow. I don't know what happens. But unless and until we devolve through proper legislation, we cannot really hope to improve
I'll hand
our
this
systems.
over to our
yes, so I would like to, yes, maybe Zishan can help us there.
Thank you. I will answer this question as well as I've come up with 2 issues mainly that are discussed here in this panel discussion. First, as you said, that about the local government elections, I think that's the main issue. Continuity of local governments, that is the main issue. And what I can suggest actually, because as it was discussed here, ultimately all the political parties, they have to get together like 18th Amendment, judicial reforms. Now it's high time that we should come together and bring a system where we can ensure the continuity of local governments. And that can only happen just like federal national elections and provincial elections. If we can ensure by our constitution that elections of local governments are held on the same day, then this is the only way forward. Because if we leave that to the provincial governments, as Ahmed said earlier, he was part of that local government system, and just by one notification, after a year and a half, 58,000 elected people were sent home. So, to me, I think this is the only way forward, that we should come up with this solution, that elections of National Assembly, Provincial Assembly and local governments, they held on the same day in all the provinces. That is the solution of one problem. Second, I think as Mayor Karachi, Murtaza Wahab mentioned, that our local governments, after getting elected, they always look at the provincial governments, and they approach them for financial help and support. I think financial sustainability, that is the second problem that we need to address. And that can again be addressed by devolving that local taxation system to the local governments to enhance their own source revenue capacity. And I think we should definitely, like people like Murtaza Wahab, who have tripled their own, their collection, their financial kind of support. So without taking any help from provincial government, so we should actually implement such best practices everywhere. So to me, there are two challenges, and I think that's the only solution that I have.
Do you want to add something to it?
Yes.
I also have something to say, but I'll...
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think we are a bit confused. That's what I think is the issue with the implementation of the local governments. I'm really intrigued by the statement which the Honorable Speaker from Malaysia said. And whatever you have to do it with a certain clarity of policy. You have to be clear about it. If you don't need a local government system, you don't need a local government. We are confused. On one side, we say we need it, we cannot do the service delivery, and on the other side, we are not willing to let go, because a robust, fully empowered local government system will push the provincial assemblies into the corner. There is no two ways about it. If you give autonomy to the local government systems, then the provincial governments are going to lose some of their powers and some of their say.
I want to legislate. I don't want to fix the pothole. I don't want to be the councillor of every ward of my constituency.
That's you.
Then I will go run for mayor. Right? But, yeah, there's one thing I want to add. Yesterday, I met a very interesting couple. A retired ambassador who is probably sitting in the audience, Mr. and Mrs. Ashraf Qureshi, and they served in South Africa, and Mrs. Qureshi said something very profound. She asked me to read a book, and she was explaining the idea of Ubuntu in Africa. And a lot of times we think, she said, the Western philosophy says, I think, therefore I am. But African philosophy says, I exist because you exist. And there is this lack of tolerance. We can't tolerate each other. So local government is also probably something we can tolerate as long as it is ours. But we can't tolerate it if someone else wins the election.
That's what I said, it's metaphysical now.
Just one observation. I just like Shah Sahab, I was also very interested in what was said by the worthy speaker in Malaysia about bureaucracy. You see, wherever the British went, they ruled through their officers. And that mindset, unfortunately, still continues. Because we politicians will come and go, but the bureaucrat who gets appointed at the age of 22, he continues to serve and be in power till the time he retires, and even beyond retirement. So that's one area where I think political stakeholders need to sit down together, right? And think about those common grounds, because yes, coexistence is possible. The police officers, they coexist. The DMG officers, they coexist. Unfortunately, the judicial officers, they coexist. It is only, unfortunately, the political class which is fighting all over the world. So we must think about the coexistence bit.
This is such a great session, and you know, this consensus and this agreement of all political parties on at least having continuity in the system is so heartening. I hope that we can take this spirit forward in future legislation. Anyone wants to?
Just let me add
ख्वाजा
a
साहब,
small thing.
फिर गिलानी साहब, और फिर हम दोबारा ऑडियंस के पास जाना चाहते हैं ताकि कॉन्वर्सेशन और खुले. And there is no जुबान की कदगन नहीं है. अगर आपने उर्दू में सवाल पूछना है तो मैं आपके ट्रांसलेटर के फ़राइज़ सर अंजाम देना भी मेरी जिम्मेदारियों में शामिल है.
For free. For free.
Actually, we need to understand that the region that we are representing, particularly in Southeast Asia, we are having a multiple ethnic backgrounds at the UC level, multiple customs, and the provincial government usually they are in fear to transfer their powers at that grassroots level because the government fear that they don't have the capacity building. But the individual there in the government, they feel that maybe my political party and my people will lose that UC or that ward. So this is also the fear. So only thing is that we need to focus only in the constitutional resolution. Once the constitutional resolution will happen, like India, like Sri Lanka, like in other countries, that was the only way forward to strengthen the local government.
Yeah. You need to be brave. Can I add something? Usma, maybe responding to your question, I would like to take you all back to in history. Now, in 1934, there was the British Raj here, and there was a viceroy appointed by the Queen of England, and the mayors used to be appointed by the viceroy. So I come from the city of Multan, and Multan is one of the biggest cities in south of Punjab. And the mayor at that in 1934 was E.P. Moon. His name was E.P. Moon. So he contested the elections of local government. He contested the election of the mayor of Multan. And the voting rights were only given to the landlords of those times. And the sitting mayor, who was also the relative of the Viceroy of India, lost the election to a political worker, who was a local political worker. So rather than evolving our democratic struggle and democratic values, we've gone backwards. So that's the irony.
I have a very small question. My name is Sadia Javed. I'm representing the Sindh delegation from Karachi. I want to know when Punjab had the last local government elections.
2015, because
2015 through 2016.
2015, I think...
I've shared the scorecard already. Stop embarrassing us. Next, please. Please, sir, up.
My name is Abid Qayyum and I am from Lahore. Basically, as a citizen of Pakistan, witnessing all the events, I think the question is very simple, why local government could not be evolved. I think because a government, when it comes in the federation, has 3 to 4 years. And it has to deliver speedily to get results. It wants to get re-elected in the next election as well. So it works in collaboration with bureaucracy to get results speedily. They don't have to answer much. Budget is approved at once. So I think the opportunity cost to go to the local body is too high. Abid Qayyum, sir. Abid Qayyum from Lahore. I have done masters in healthcare management from Thams. So I think this is a vicious circle in which we are, trapped. So what is the way forward? How to convince the leaders to, trust the local bodies, to let them evolve, because the best talent goes to federation or provincial side. At the local level.
Got your question. आप फिर मैडम आप फिर so
Assalamu alaikum ji. My name is Mukhtar Javed and I am chairperson Free and Fair Election Network, Fafan, Pakistan. So I have no question but just my submission that first of all I would like to congratulate Punjab government for arranging this wonderful conference. Ahmed Sahab, I can see the many rays of hopes, especially from the horizon of political parties, as they are taking the local government system serious. So this is a good news for all of us. Secondly, I hope that today's deliberations will be very fruitful to start further initiatives across the country to review, reform, and harmonize the local government system. So I, from the platform of Fafan, assure you our full support.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, madam. I can, CPA representative.
Ji. Assalamu alaikum.
Is Mr. Jarvis here in the audience? Or someone from the CPA Secretariat? Do we have anyone from the CPA Secretariat in the audience? No.
I'm Dr. Nikha Shakil. I'm from Karachi. My question is, of course, with Mayor Karachi, Murtaza Wahab Saab. As he said that Karachi local government is self-sufficient in revenue generation. So why Karachi is suffering in its infrastructure and not getting it? Karachi is a huge contributor in revenue generation, revenue in provincial and federal level. Then why the infrastructure is deteriorating day by day?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Muhammad Arshad, Member Provincial Assembly. My question, Mr. Ahmed sir, my question relates from Minister Local Government. Minister Local Government says the same day election will be held, National Assembly, Provincial Assembly and local government, and should be held. And it seems it will be held on to 2029 or before. And another thing is, here's the dilemma of our society. आप जानते हैं जिस सोसाइटी में हम रहते हैं, अहमद साहब, जिस सोसाइटी में हम रहते हैं, ये जिस तरह बात हुई 18th अमेंडमेंट की और बात हुई पावर्स की, डिवॉल्व ऑफ पावर्स की, तो क्या हम ये पावर्स डिवॉल्व करने जा रहे हैं? जिस तरह आज एमएनए और एमपीए के ज़िम्मे एक ही काम है कि नाली कब बनेगी, खाली कब बनेगी, तो हम इससे कब तक निकलना चाहते हैं और कब तक निकलेंगे? अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह.
Amjad Ali Javed Saab is the most prolific member of our assembly, and I have nicknamed him as a one-man assembly because he always has the floor.
जी शुक्रिया अहमद साहब. मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि पाकिस्तान के तकरीबन तमाम सूबों में जो हमारा बल्दियाती निज़ाम बनाया जाता है या बनाए गए हैं या काम कर रहे हैं, इनमें सब में students, transgenders, minorities, women's, ये सब nominated ही क्यों आ रहे हैं? ये कल्चर नहीं खत्म हो सकता कि इनको आप डायरेक्ट या अभी डायरेक्ट नहीं आप अफोर्ड कर सकते तो इनडायरेक्ट ही इलेक्शन के सिस्टम में लाएं. ये नॉमिनेशन का जो कल्चर है वो इन्हें अंडरमाइन करता है सबको. तो इसमें क्या सोचा जा रहा है? इसमें कोई चीज लाई जा रही है या नहीं लाई जा रही? शुक्रिया.
थैंक यू सर. लास्ट एनी अच्छा वी आर डन विद द क्वेश्चंस. वील सर.
My name is Dr. Zulfikar Ali Bhatti, Member National Assembly.
Sir.
I want to ask the question from Minister for Local Government. When local government election will be held in Punjab, number one, and when you remove the bureaucrats from the administrative seats of the municipal corporations and local government.
Acha ji. So now, first question from Abid Saab, who will convince politicians? यहाँ सारे politicians बैठे हुए हैं. We're all politicians, and I think those who believe have a responsibility. Party lines are not some sacred, instructions. Our job within our parties is to push that line, is to nudge that, is to convince our leadership. Sir, मैं अगले पे आ रहा हूँ. The lady from Karachi asked, why is Karachi suffering in terms of infrastructure when it is such a big city, it has so much revenue potential? That's for you, Mayor Saab.
I never claimed Karachi has become self-sustainable. I said we are going towards self-sustenance, and that's important. The less we look towards other tiers of government and focus on our own revenue sources, the better it is and the better it will be for sustainability. But I again reiterate the position that is taken by everyone, that I also as a local government representative look towards my local government minister, my chief minister, my prime minister, that they should be a little more kind toward the city of Karachi, which is the engine of growth and change for the entire country. So you are a member of the National Assembly. Please, I can't speak in the National Assembly. Please help me convey that to the Prime Minister. We have the ladies sitting from the province of Sindh. They will help me convey it to the Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh. And I'm sure for people who are from other provinces, they would convey it to their respective provincial governments as well.
There's also...
Let me end. Despite of having the differences of the governance of People's Party or the limitation in the local government, one more aspect of the Karachi, very astonishing aspect, and I would like to raise, and all of you also from the different assemblies, I would like you to advocate for this issue. Karachi, we have 7 multiple civic agencies, mayor, none of them their boss. All independent. Firstly, mayor was holding Karachi of 36% of the Karachi. And now after the civic, DMCs, different DMCs of their formation, it squeezes its area up to the maybe 16%. And 13 federal civic agencies. 13 multiple civic. We have 6 cantonments. Karachi cantonment, Faisal cantonment, Clifton cantonment. And we have federal territories. Civil Aviation, Pakistan Railway, Federal Capital Area, KPT, Port Qasim. None of them, no one is the boss of each other. So more than 20 multiple civic agencies, they are running Karachi and no one is answerable to each other. So this is a very astonishing aspect of the Karachi.
This is a major problem, and Lahore is also witnessing this.
Lahore, just to correct, Karachi is perhaps the only city in Pakistan which has 6 cantonments. Right, we have, I want to construct a bridge over a railway crossing. I have to go to Lahore to get the NOC from DS Railways. So these are challenges. But you see, I just want to emphasize one aspect. Karachi is the port city. And historically, if you see all port cities, the ports have led the development of the infrastructure of those respective cities. Unfortunately, there is a major disconnect between the federal government and the local council with regards to this aspect. And that is where I feel deliberation, engagement will bring us to a solution rather than I taking a very polarized stance and the federal government taking a very polarized position. We should engage, we should find common ground where we can work together and find those ways which will best serve our people.
Thank you. I obviously don't want this discussion to end, but as a moderator, I have to put a full stop. Last two questions. Amjad Ali Javed Saab raised a question about reserved seats. Anyone wants to take that question? Yeah, and I think this is, since 1935, I think the first time the idea of reserved seats was brought about in the Government of India Act, and it was supposed to stay for 10 years. Then in the Zia era, it again came about, it was supposed to stay for 10 years. And I think there, at least local government is one place where we have tried direct election on reserved seats. There is demand for that as well from women and minority groups. So that is a very valid point that you've raised. Minister Saab, aapke paas aakhri question, Dr. Zulfikar Bhatti Saab, when will you remove civil servants from positions that are elected offices? You don't see a chief secretary becoming an acting chief minister. You don't see a secretary establishment exercising the powers of the prime minister. Then how can a deputy commissioner exercise the powers of an elected head and an elected council by a single stroke of pen?
Thank you. Actually, the question was when local government elections will be held. Obviously, after elections, the problem that you talked about, that will remove as well. We have passed a proposed local government act from our provincial cabinet, and it's just on its way to coming to the provincial assembly. I don't see that it will take more than a few months that we'll be able to have a system passed through the assembly. Then obviously I'm just answering the question that when the local government elections will be held. As I said that we have passed a proposed local government act from provincial cabinet, and in a few weeks' time, probably in the next session, that will be presented in the Punjab Assembly. Then after getting passed from the Punjab Assembly, obviously election process will initiate, hopefully this year. Secondly, I think Amjad Ali Javed Saab, he said that directly or indirectly, these people should be elected for reserve seats. In our new proposed system, we are going to elect these people. So they are not going to be nominated, they are going to be elected indirectly in our new system. So, no, the question was about nomination or getting elected directly or indirectly. So they'll be elected indirectly. So,
sir, no, Dr. Saab, it is an unconstitutional thing. Honorable Speaker has the floor.
So I have a question. Zishan Saab, are you giving political and financial empowerment in this new act to the local governments?
Sir, just before you came, we had a very... Okay, yes. We are committed to give financial and administrative autonomy to the next local governments when as a result of these elections. So that's a simple answer. Obviously, when it comes to the standing committee, all our legislatures will have a debate on that. So as I said earlier, one of the challenge, continuity of local government is one, but second was financial sustainability. So yes, we are going to ensure that our local governments, our local bodies, they are financially sustainable.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Let me also share with the audience that Pakistan Muslim League has made some bold and ambitious commitments in our 2024 manifesto. Number one being to create consensus for the constitutional amendment that everyone today talked about. And if we can collectively achieve that, it would be the big bang that we all are looking for. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to give a big round of applause to this great panel and a great discussion that happened.
Ahmed, with your permission, if somebody is here from the CPA Secretariat, I would like to request that they should, in the CPA Academy, they should add a module on local government as well. And I would also like to draw attention of our all the members here to use the CPA Academy program. They have got an online program which you should enroll into, and it's very enlightening. Thank you.